Traduce la hora actual. Vale, sí sale el juego. Ahora sí sale el juego. Vale. De hecho, no va a haber mucho sonido. Son las 10:27. No, y 17, perdón. Eso. Y 18 ahora. Mira qué bien. Momento. Antes de que empecemos, ¿puedo decir algo? No estás diciendo nada. Lo tengo que leer yo. Bueno. Gracias por configurar la hora las 2 veces que iniciaste el juego. Oh. Sí, antes lo abrí para poner la configuración. Sí, es que no empecé el juego. Mucha gente no se toma en serio este paso. Dejan el reloj en las 12 en punto y siguen adelante. Pero tú te tomaste el tiempo de configurarlo y te lo agradezco. Ahora sé que esta experiencia es importante para ti y estás prestando atención. Ni siquiera tengo forma de saber si la hora que pusiste es la correcta. ¿Sabes algo? Hagamos un trato. Como cooperaste, la próxima vez que inicies el juego y veas esta pantalla, pon tu hora favorita en el reloj. Adelante, elige la hora que quieras, aunque no sea la correcta. Te lo ganaste. Bien, ya te dejo que vuelvas al videojuego. Ok, ¿en qué afecta la hora? Ni puta idea. Aquí hemos venido a descubrir, Icia. Hemos venido a ver qué pasa. ¿Se oye muy fuerte el juego? Bueno, ahora no se oye. Hemos venido a jugar, exactamente. De hecho, veis que esto es un loop infinito, ¿no? Está esta pantalla y luego está aquí. ¿Se ve bien? Vale, vamos. Si durante el juego me decís, oye, que está muy alto, está muy bajo. Pero, vale. Vamos a darle, ¿vale? ¿Preparadas? ¿Preparados?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Y aquí es donde entro yo. Estoy controlándolo yo ya, ¿vale?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
A ver, huelga, no se enteró. Hay papeles por el suelo. Quizá salieran corriendo.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Financial panic meeting. We're broke Wednesday. Pre-review of weekly review. Do not have to do the consulting with. No me gusta que las puertas se cierren. No puedo abrir. Everyone is unique. You most of all. What is hot? Profit. Things. Money. More money. Things. But with money to buy. More things. Graphs plus about things plus money. Synergize core value expenditures. What do people want? Quarterly pie chart profits. Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Estoy siguiendo las instrucciones del narrador, por lo menos en la primera. La primera vez.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Y murió. No lo sabemos.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Qué bonito. Omedeto, aplausos. Sí. Sí, he pensado que para el primer final por lo menos hacer el que en el que no vamos en contra del narrador.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Está la puerta 400 aquí.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so. Now, back to door number 437.
Tío.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Okay. 417.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Tío.
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
Madre mía. 416.
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
Okay. Me encanta marear, sí, sí.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it!
Yay!
Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Yay! That will be $10, please. Oh, me puedo agachar. Puedo agacharme, pero no saltar. Tírate por la ventana. Ya, pero no puedo saltar. Pero di su. Su. ¿Qué? Sí. Ah, subirte a la silla. Sí, subirte a la silla. Ah, vale.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Por cierto, retroductor, intenta no spoilearme cosas, detalles del juego. Así serán más sorpresa. No pasa nada, ¿vale? Tengo que reiniciar, ¿vale?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want. Like, right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Que a donde mire no hay nada, solo arriba. Sí, la canción está muy bien traducida, rimando y todo. Que van es una traza, sí. El narrador de este juego me encanta. Creo que hay que empezar desde cero. Vale, ya he visto un poco cómo va el juego. Es puedes seguir las indicaciones del narrador o desviarte un poquito. Y yo creo que es hora de que empecemos a desviarnos. Por aquello de que... Eso. La voz del listening puteándote. Ciertamente tiene un ligero aire a voz de listening literal de inglés. Por el acento y eso. Es súper british.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Si no sales de tu oficina, podéis decirme cosas que queráis que haga, ¿vale? Pero ya no podemos volver a la oficina, así que en el
This was
siguiente.
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
No puedes sacar una lata 0 de 10. De hecho, cuando clico se oye...
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Sí, sí, super worth it.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Virgen.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
¿O no? Interesante, ¿verdad? Simulador de reloj. No son las 11:21, ¿vale? En la vida real. ¿Cambiará a las 11:22? Ver las horas pasar simulator. Quiero ver si cambia a las 11:22. Y ya. Este juego lo tiene todo. Wow, sí. Increíble. Ah, pues sí, parece que sí que cambia. Yep.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
No.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
¿Alguien está salty? Multa por usar mal el montacargas y multa por saltar del montacargas.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
¿Seguro?
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Prime L para mirar televisión.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
L. O para preparar la cena.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Me da a mí que no hay alternativa ahora mismo. Estoy pulsando. Esta es la E, ¿vale? La E hace el sonido de interactuar. Aparte, estoy controlando con el teclado. Estoy pulsando WASD de todo el rato. Para moverme. El clic también es eso. Hay un teclado aquí.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Para no cuestionarte nada.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried...
Vamos a hacer eso que has dicho tú, Akemi. No salir de la oficina. De momento. No está pasando mucho de momento, ¿no? No hay nada interactuable. Solo tengo un botón para entrar. Doy el callo por dinero y ya. Oh. La silla es... No existe. Por colisión, digo. F1. I hate Mondays, creo. Que pone la taza. G814F1. G814F1. 4. F1. No. Partition Corp. Providing partitions for 56 years. No puedo hacer zoom, que yo sepa. No sé si... Creo que... No pasa nada si me quedo en la oficina. Creo que es literalmente necesario salir de la oficina para poder empezar a hacer cosas sin... contra el narrador y demás. Esa puerta.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Vale, gracias, Retroductor, por lo de la puerta. ¿Ves? Eso sí que me gusta, que cuando ya hay algo que queramos hacer pero que no sepa cómo hacerlo.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Vaya, no me lo esperaba. El final de One Piece.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Sí, aparte el motor gráfico del juego es el que yo sepa, no sé si sigue siéndolo, creo que sí, es el motor que usaron para Half-Life 2. Creo, ¿eh? Al menos... O sea, el juego, para empezar, Stanley Parable empezó, ahora está en Unity, vale. Se hizo como mod se usó, o sea, el juego fue un mod originalmente que usaba el Garry's mod, que es un mod de Half-Life 2, y luego ya empezó a ser su propio juego, y yo no sé si usaba el mismo motor que el Half-Life 2. A lo mejor pasaron a Unity en ese juego y lo han mantenido aquí, porque el juego se ve prácticamente igual que el de 2013 este, ¿eh?
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
La versión de Portal 2, vale.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
The Jump Circle.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
Riveting gameplay.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
Lo dice él.
It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
¿Eh? Retroductor se refiere a David Redden, el creador de de Stanley Parable. Es un autor, o sea, como un juego de autor. Bueno, es diferente, sin duda.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
¿Qué? Coffee nut.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
¡Qué bonito! No es de café para los que no sepan inglés.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Existía una Collector's Edition de Stanley Parable. Everything you need to make great ideas even better. In today's busy world, it isn't easy managing an effective productivity workflow. Ok, casi puedo leer, pero está un poco suficiente borroso para que no pueda leer. Sí, está plagada de cosas. Oh, ganó un premio en los juegos indie independientes. No lo sabía. El premio de la audiencia. Y un BAFTA. También. British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Ah, no. ¿O sí? The Last of Us. Se lo dieron a The Last of Us y ha puesto Stanley Parable con un rollo de celo. Querían haber ganado el BAFTA, ¿no? Our First Kiss, My First Cast. The Release of Stanley Parable en 2013. El guión, supongo. By the Narrator. 2013. Remember. No sé quién es ese señor. The Last of Us 2. ¿Necesario remaster? ¿Crees que es necesario? The Speaking Again. Mind Control. Good Times. In Love and Memory. Joder, ha muerto. Oh, esto es la página de Steam del juego. Clicks. Tan necesario como el remaster del primer juego 2 años después de que saliera. Mozilla Firefox Start Page. Madre mía. What everyone's saying. Realmente no soy yo fan de The Last of Us. Más que nada porque no tengo Play. Y no lo voy a tener. Porque no quiero comprarme consolas. A trip down memory lane. Smile because it happened. Stanley Parable Alpha Test. $1, ya. Seré Sonyer en la vida. The Stanley Parable Demonstration. Había una demo, por lo visto. Go outside, don't play it for 5 years. Sí, esto es un logro que existe en el juego original. Que literalmente eso. que si juegas por 5 años seguidos te salta el logro. Obviamente lo puedes alterar para que salte el logro. Sí, ahora el logro te la dan por no jugar durante 10 años. Sí, lo vi que lo tiseaban en plan. Y en lugar de llamarse el logro Go Outside es Super Go Outside. La demo era genial. Unachievable. It's impossible to get this achievement. Yeah. Nominado al BAFTA de innovación de juegos. Nominado por el juego debut. Got Touch Some Grass. Sí, la verdad. It was a game. Creators surprisingly down to earth. Telepatía, sí, sí. Retroductor, obviamente, es... Creo que estás... No sé si eres tú solo, ¿no? Estás trabajando en un parche de traducción al español de Undertale. Y por lo que he visto que has posteado, tiene buena pinta. Perdón. Las adaptaciones, eso que me han gustado, las que has usado. Porque... Por mi cuenta, más que nada. Sí, sí. Build Stuff Choices. Sí, sí. Qué picuo. Con la ayuda de varias gente por el camino, pero la traducción es cosa. Nice. ¡Oh! ¡Oh, un hámster! ¿Little Stanley? Oh, es un hámster que falleció. Oh, era... Está en francés de repente. The Beginner's Guide, sí. The Beginner's Guide quiero jugarlo aquí también, pero es más heavy. No me gusta el francés.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of...
Ok, Persona 3. Perdón, sí, es que no quiero responderte, no quiero cortar al narrador. Sí, Sterling se llama James Stephanie, creo. Y le pidieron, no sé si le pidieron, permiso. Sí, le dijeron, oye, que cuando publicó esta review, no se llamaba así, ¿no? Y le dijeron, oye, hacemos referencia a tu review de nuestro juego, pero te ponemos el nombre nuevo, ¿no? Y ya está. No sé cómo se llamaba anteriormente, pero bueno, eso. No voy a decirlo porque es un poco tabú. Tampoco sé cómo se llamaba ahora mismo, pero eso.
And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Contenido de ascensor. Fantastic Arcade. Indicate 2012. Y menciones honorables al IGF. Oh, ModDB. Sí, esto es del mod. ModDB es una página de mods, obviamente, y es la página que más miro yo para modear juegos y eso. Y está muy bien. Normal que ganase, porque esto, ya os he dicho, se originó como un mod con el Garry's Mod, si no recuerdo mal. This Dimension Design of the Year. Nice. Big Sushi de PAX. PAX es una feria de juegos. Nuevo Award. Ok. Original. Sí, esta es la pantalla de de inicio del juego original. Estas son las dos puertas originales. Creo que el mod de tenía como primer dilema el de las dos puertas, el de la puerta izquierda o puerta derecha. Person of the Year, no sé quién es. Será a lo mejor una foto del narrador, así blurry, no lo sé. Ah, este es el modelo. Estos son los modelos de Stanley. Y la otra persona, creo que sé quién es, pero no voy a decir quién es. Pero sí, el modelo de Stanley supuestamente creo que es este de aquí. Aunque no nos veamos nunca. Y los botones de on y off y de todo eso. Oh, the end is never the end. No puedo salir. Vale. El juego funcionando en un Mac. Sacrilegio. For Scott Kay, no sé quién es. Pues parece que sí que tenía... O no sé si esto es un mock-up. En plan de... Teníamos edición coleccionista. Pero no sé, parece bastante... ¿Cómo se dice? Bastante auténtico. Lo mismo es mentira. Yo no recuerdo que hubiera... el top 10 de recuerdos. ¿Tuvo una edición coleccionista? Vale, vale. Te creo. Tu número es 29, eso ya no lo sé.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com.
Madre mía.
The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Ahora de repente digo... Sí, como el Nier Replicant. No, la verdad es que el remake de Nier Replicant está muy bien. I like work. I just hate my boss. Okay. Carpet textures. Repeatable carpet textures. Ready for your game project. Royalty free designs. Okay. Y una bicicleta. Y una bicicleta. Preparing snake oil salesman. Rotich. No sé qué pone. Ah, puedo salir. No puedo. The Serious Room. Sí. Vale.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Mira Minecraft.
But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on.
¿Qué?
I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Eso. ¿Qué hay? Oh. Steam. Steam Reviews. El infierno de las Steam Reviews. ¿Cómo ha cambiado, eh? No se podía dejar a Minecraft, Portal y Half-Life 2 en versiones antiguas.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No, Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam.
Oh no.
The online video game distributor.
No.
I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well.
No. No tienen pinta. No recomendado.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
La versión de Switch en vez de Steam pone Pressurized Gas. ¡Ah! Claro. ¡Ay, Nintendo! ¡Qué poco! ¡Qué mal perder! Este juego era original de PC. Todas las versiones de cosas.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. To be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Jo, ahora está de bajona. Jo. Oh, hay gaviotas. A ver esta.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Además que un juego que parodia el statu quo del mercado del 2013 no envejece también con el tiempo. Esto era el anterior Undertale, vamos, un juego anterior. Sí, este juego era, como has dicho tú, Akemi, es muy meta. Este juego va sobre juegos. O sobre cómo jugamos y demás. O sea, no es un juego que vaya sobre su propia historia. Aunque bueno, sí, tiene una historia propia, pero lo usa como canalizador de cómo jugamos a los videojuegos, básicamente.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... The story and the choices.
Ah, vale, que se repite,
by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah.
Se convierte en una tesis doctoral redactada por un
We've
docente
eaten
viejo.
too much and it can't be just yet, no, until
Voy a ver si cambia.
245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story and the choices.
Vale, tengo que
all
darle.
have you, and then... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of
Era
course,
sobre
I
la-
happen
las-
to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made in fact make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once, that you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations.
Sí.
All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Me pregunto si esto es un loop. Me
Manifesto.
imagino que sí.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise,
le doy, ¿no?
manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Tiene pinta de que es un loop.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise,
¿Puedo
manifesto.
irme?
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise,
Manifiesto.
manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Manifiesto.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Lo siento.
Treat. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you?
Un poco,
But
sí.
that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam
Desaznarme.
works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation.
Sure.
Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial, something along the lines of, "This game is the best game." Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. How else to describe the Stanley Parable
Madre mía.
Ultra Deluxe? Such a revolutionary step forward in the lineage of one of the most beloved video game properties of all time. The additions and changes made to this expansion will surely resonate in the annals of the history of all media ever made. It is perhaps true to say that no mistakes are forever etched in stone, for the stone into which the Stanley Parable was carved has itself been transmuted, offering a message of hope to those who have ever
Madre
erred
mía.
in their judgment. You are not beyond redemption. You may change, and you may become more, so much more than you were before. If there is any message to be taken from the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, it is this. What a fortune.
Madre mía.
A joy it is to have had such an experience. It leaves me hopeful that as a community, as a world, there is time for us to become our greatest selves, as great as we ever could dream of in our wildest, most ambitious visions for a brighter future. Wow. Now, Stanley, that's a review.
Joder.
It's perfect.
Y
It's
tanto.
the perfect review. It's the review I've always dreamed of receiving. Well, I have to read it again.
No.
It's simply too wonderful.
No.
I have to experience this just one more time.
No.
From the ashes of depravity.
¿Por qué from?
rises the phoenix of quality.
Sorry.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley.
Hola.
Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer.
¿Ah, sí?
That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Uff. Cuando te pide tan insistentemente que no pulses el botón. No puedo subirme en la silla. Y sí, lo del desasnar me ha gustado. O sea, no sé si existe como verbo de verdad, seguramente no, pero yo lo acepto por lo bueno que ha sonado. Yo hubiera aceptado culturizarme. Voy a culturizarme un poco. Son algo que diría Papyrus. Sí, más o menos desasnar. Te ha quedado Papyrus en tu parche. Oye, qué buena idea. Resulta que yo jugué a Undertale en streaming y perdí los vídeos porque no... En fin, fui tonto y no lo guardé. Y no lo tengo en YouTube. Así que podré jugar a Undertale otra vez. Porque hice voces de Papyrus y Sans y de todo el mundo, porque yo suelo hacer doblajes así amateur. Y podemos jugar con el parche tuyo. Cuando esté, básicamente. O sea, yo hice un poco... Cuando estuviese Deltarune... sí, cuando estuviese Deltarune disponible en su totalidad, dije que iba a jugar Undertale otra vez para jugar todas las rutas. ¿Das permiso para que todo lo juego? Gracias. Espero estar a la altura de tu Papyrus en cuanto a voz. Era la voz que más me gustaba hacer. Papyrus. Aquí ha llegado Papyrus. Con la voz de esqueleto, muy original. Como más regajada, como de paleto. Yo de Papyrus es que le pongo voz así como de Gremlin, así. Esa era la voz que le ponía a Papyrus, más o menos. Y de Sans, pues algo así. Un poquito más grave. ¡Hey, Midna! Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cuánto tiempo sin estar? Sí, sí. ¿Qué tal? Han pasado meses, tranquilamente. Oh, qué guay. Cada personaje que es bastante creíble, ¿no? Porque cada persona pues no te llama igual. Me parece muy interesante, sí. Vale, para ponerte... Pues muy bien. No conozco este jueguecillo. Es un juego narrativo, sobre todo. Espero que esté genial. Estoy recuperándome del COVID. Ahora mismo. Pero estoy mejor que al principio, supongo. Todo bien de neutral. Eso tuvo que haberte dado dolor de cabeza. Eso es difícil en español. Pero si lo has conseguido, mis 10. Mis 10. Vale, el juego, para que sepas, porque no has estado al principio del streaming, el juego tiene un narrador, y el narrador nos ha pedido que no pulsemos este botón y ha dicho que iba a buscarnos una puerta, porque antes había aquí una puerta y ahora ya no hay una puerta. Así que procedo a darle al botón al que me ha pedido que no pulsemos, porque ya llevo un tiempo. No quiero que esto se convierta en un podcast que está muy guay. Yo hablando y eso, yo siendo el narrador ahora mismo. pero hemos venido aquí a jugar a este juego, no a oírme a mí, necesariamente. Así que voy a pulsar el botón y a ver qué pasa. Lo mismo nos morimos. O algo. Hace ya un rato que el narrador se fue.
Stanley!
¿Qué?
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been
Yeah.
12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
Ya lo sé.
I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley.
Sí.
There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie 9's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie 9. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child. Wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well.
Pero tío.
You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head.
¿te estás quejando y te repites?
The negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me?
Se está repitiendo. Ni siquiera media frase se ha cortado.
What would it ever really matter? But
Sí, bucle, pero... Voy a esperarme a que termine el bucle otra vez por si acaso. Está criticando por dejarlo solo y lo primero que hace es repetirse.
I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to
Para agotar los bucles. ¿Se
It
agotan?
only pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an
No me
impulse
extrañaría
say?
que se agotasen siendo el
But
juego
whose
como es.
benefit is this?
Rollo, seguir 10
Here I am
minutos
now,
non-stop.
stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it and that I'm going to be stuck.
¿Te refieres a que hiciera el
I
bucle
have
entero,
tried
no?
to prevent it all
Retroductor.
from happening. If only I'd held
Yo tengo
my
mucha
tongue.
paciencia.
It's all out of
Creo
my
que tengo
control
bastante
now.
paciencia.
Just you, just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it.
Madre mía.
Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to
No,
see
priorizaré
what's
mi
next
deseo
ahead
de
of
que no
my
te
need for
repitas.
company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful
No
anxiety.
te oigo
that you
howling.
sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all
You'll
because
be
of those
leaving
reviews.
me.
Those
Y me
reviews that I
repites.
couldn't get out of my head.
Ea,
Oh, Stanley, you're back.
sí.
You're back.
Yay.
Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again.
Hostia.
Stanley,
Se ha muerto la
I think
planta.
it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing.
Ea,
Would you think that it's exactly the same as always?
sí.
Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Te pusiste un poco incómodo. No sé si tiene trigger warnings para empezar el juego. O content warnings. Me da a mí que hemos llegado a otro... En el menú puedes ponerlo. Oh, vale. Yo lo he puesto porque para mí pocas cosas ahí de... Dice que si te incomoda esta parte puedes saltarte. Ah, vale. Pues no sé. Lo siento. Oh, hay una cámara. Ah, o es una alarma de incendios a lo mejor. Me da que hay que darle al botón otra vez. O es lo que pienso que hay que hacer. Porque lo mismo. Así te va mejor, nice. Galero, pero bueno. Si en algún momento te incomodan algo lo suficiente, pues no me va a sentar mal que cierres el streaming. ¿Vale? Yo no quiero obligar a nadie que me vea. Nunca lo he hecho ni nunca lo haré. Pulsamos el botón, ¿no? Se está volviendo todo esto muy meta filosófico, la verdad, pero el juego original ya era bastante, así que... ¿Le damos al botón ya? ¡Tira de la palanca, Kronk! ¡Déselo!
Oh, hello.
Hola.
It's you. You're here again. Welcome.
Welcome.
I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you
Un
ever
año.
sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines,
Madre mía.
and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible, the spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state For you, the plain fact of this manner of existence, I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
¿Quieres que viva como tú? ¿Sin instrucciones? ¿Sin alguien al que escucharte? O sea, que te escuche. Hijo mío, si hubiera habido una puerta o algo, pero es que no hay nada. ¿Qué quieres que haga? Si hubiera podido trepar por aquí para salir, lo hubiera hecho hace mucho tiempo. Pero no tengo muchos botones, hijo mío. Ahora te quieres vengar de mí, hijo mío. Pues yo qué sé. La vida. Casa Wazowski. Que le dé al botón otra vez, ¿quieres decir? Puedo subirme aquí, pero ¿de qué me sirve subir a este pequeño bidón? La planta está bien muerta. Y el reloj está parado, literalmente. Quartz. ¿Le doy ya? Era un juego de terror. Terror existencial más que nada. Porque ahora mismo lo que está pasando en pantalla pues no es muy terrorífico. No lo que está pasando conceptualmente. Estar encerrado en una habitación durante mucho tiempo sí que es terrorífico. Bueno. Sorry. Oh, el... Voy a morir aquí dentro seguramente porque se quite la esta de... ¿Cómo se dice? Lo diré. La ventilación. He muerto sin oxígeno porque se ha apagado el conducto de ventilación. Qué buen rollo da Stanley Parable cuando no hay narración. Sí, la verdad es que es bastante tétrico. Pero no se me ocurre otra forma de... Quizá haya alguna forma de salir de aquí. No puedo saltar como antes. El narrador quizás se haya ido o ha muerto. We don't know. No lo sabemos. En fin, seguiré pulsando el botón hasta que pase algo, supongo. Oh. ¿Es la alarma de incendios? Pues si hay un incendio, hijo mío, me voy a morir. Si esta sala acaba en llamas. No sé si es una alarma de incendios, para empezar. Quizá. Nunca no sabremos cuánto llevó la alarma. Stanley Parable. Nambaka, hola. Sí, ha salido la versión Ultra Deluxe. Y estamos jugando a la versión nueva de Stanley Parable. Y el narrador se ha ido. Nos ha dejado solos. Y cada vez que pulsamos ese botón pasa mucho tiempo. No sabemos cuánto. Pero la última vez que hablamos con el narrador había pasado 1 año. Así que lo mismo pasan 2, luego 4, luego 8. No lo sé. No sé si es exponencial. Pero en esta habitación la planta está barrera. También está para el limón, está pero son versiones descafeinadas que no vale la pena. Ok. No sé si van a entrar en mi habitación porque estoy oyendo ruidos fuera. Salía el traductor de Latinoamérica en Twitter. No sé si será esta versión también, pero chapo, vale. Que ya ha salido diciendo que es el traductor, ¿no? Bien, bien, me alegro de que lo haya podido decir. Que no esté... Me vais a disculpar un momento, ¿vale? Voy a ver qué pasa fuera de la meditación porque oigo ruido. Voy a mutearme, ¿vale? Ya he vuelto. No he sido como el... No he sido como el narrador. Lo siento. Tendría que haberle dado a esto para no dejaros con el pitido. Perdón. Démosle al botón otra vez. No he acreditado, pero no en NDA. Ganas de matar aumentando. Yo estoy bajo NDA. Solo he hecho un proyecto de traducción en mi vida y fue con NDA. Y no puedo hablar del tema. Así que... O sea, puedo decir que tengo un NDA, pero no puedo decir qué es ni nada, así que... Mi carrera como traductor se basa en haber hecho una cosa solo de la que no puedo hablar hasta dentro de mucho tiempo.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it.
¿Tú
I
crees?
am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected
Se nota.
discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves, they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said...
Está repitiéndose. Le dieron cuerda al ganador. De eso va el juego, Natback. Lo siento si no te gusta, pero el juego va de huir a un narrador. Y de hacernos sus amigos o no. de seguir sus indicaciones o no seguirlas. Y ahora se está repitiendo, así que nada. Y de momento solo estoy con antes, igual acaba ya. No caerá esa prueba. No lo veo mal que aunque no estés haciendo algo de remunerado, que traduzcas algo que te guste, obviamente. Obviamente me gustaría que recibieses dinero por tus traducciones, obviamente, pero lo que quiero decir es que uno aprende a traducir traduciendo. Entonces, cuanto más traduzcas, más práctica tendrás. Yo hace que no traduzco un montón. La última vez que traduje algo, si no recuerdo mal, fue con Akemi, que tradujimos un anime entero. Tradujimos Kutei Dragons o Drifting Dragons al inglés, además del japonés al inglés, apoyándonos con los subtítulos del japonés, pero esa es la última vez que traduje algo. Y luego el proyecto de DNDA, ¿vale? Ok. Es un regalo de mi cumpleaños que hay que cambiarlo. Eso ya es caché. Sí, la verdad es que la traducción no creo que nos quedará mal. Yo creo que le podríamos haber presentado a Netflix la traducción. Te acabas de meter porque estabas hablando sobre... ¿Te acabas de meter en qué? ¿En el streaming? Llevaba meses hecha. Ah, de Netflix. ¿Te refieres? Puede, no lo sé. ¿Tiene Twitter Akemi? Sí. Con el mismo nick. Si no recuerdo mal. No sé a qué te refieres, Nambaca. Me has pillado con la guardia baja con ese comentario. No sé qué quieres decir de tu cumpleaños, que hay que cambiarlo. Akemi es mi moderadora y también supongo que si le dan algún proyecto alguna vez será traductora. Al directo, pues nada, me alegro. XDAO, yo también XDAO. Todos estamos que XDAO, pero ojalá. Bueno, continuemos.
Entertain us.
Entertain us. Pues mira, aquí tienes entretenimiento. ¿Ok? And then I took that personally. Sí. Oh. Genial, tenemos goteras. Redden. Estaba tan bien situado que no se veía la gota. Me caía justo encima y no se ve la gota renderizada. Increíble. Vale, no sé cuánto tiempo ha pasado. Miles de años, cientos, decenas. Un segundo. Los Converse de Harry Potter, pero no la casa que debía. Ea, lo siento.
The end is never the end, is never the end.
Vale, vale, vale.
The end is never the end, 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 is never.
Relájese, señor.
Is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Este es el bucle.
Is never the end, is never the
Sí.
end, is never the 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 end.
Sí, te puedes hacer una maqueta aquí.
Is never the end, 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 is
Es
never
muy
the
rítmico.
end, is never the end, is never
Lo
the
siento,
end,
no
is
estoy
never
para
the
mantras
end, is
así
never the end,
creepy.
is never the end,
Espero
is
que me
never the
entienda.
end, is never.
¿Se va a llenar esto de agua algún día? Yep. Tiene toda la pinta. My name is Wa, my name is Who, my name is Never. Es probable que muramos ahogados. Nice. Click. Hay viento. Vale, supongo que por humedad la cosa... Pero no puedo salir de aquí todavía, ¿verdad? No, no tiene pinta. Bienvenidos a Elden Ring. Ok, ¿puedo salir? No, no tiene pinta. No desde aquí, por lo menos. De momento no ha habido boom. Pero sí que ha habido algún tipo de destrozo. No ha habido boom que hayamos oído, quiero decir. No sé si eso que se oye es una mosca, pero ok. Oh, iba a decir, ¿qué es esto? No, es nada. Son trozos de cristal. Ok, clic. ¡Ey, qué bonito! Me gusta... Oh, problemas de texturas. ¿Ves? Me gusta cuando hay plantas, ¿vale? Quizá algún día podamos salir, pero por lo menos está bonito. ¡Clic! Oh, no, se han ido las plantas. No sé si quiero oír Apocalipsis background music. Quiero salir, pero no puedo, así que... No sé qué es esto, es como ceniza. Vale. Clic. Todavía seguimos... Se ve que hay cosas fuera. Que gritan. Esto ya parece... Sí, parece juego de terror, sí. Oh, ya no hay botón. ¡Puedo salir! ¿Puedo salir? Porque aquí está oscuro y aquí no. No puedo darle al botón ya. ¿No? ¡Jo! ¿Ese es el final? El final es... llegamos al final de los tiempos, supongo, y el mundo dejó de ser. Pero nosotros seguíamos ahí. Y el botón de skip se rompió, así que no teníamos más.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content. ¿Por qué no exploramos el contenido antiguo, vale? Un último.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his
Vamos a
left.
seguir. Vamos a seguir sus instrucciones de momento.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
O quizás... No.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
¿O no?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
¿Eso piensas tú?
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
FA.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
¿Por qué sigues hablando? Si no siguieras hablando.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Ya, chico. La vida.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Sí.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Madre mía.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Vale, creo que ya. Ya está. Creo que ya está. Ya no dice nada más.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
¿Cuál era el código? Por favor. 2845, creo que era. Ya.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Botón para subir. ¿Y puedo subir?
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
No recuerdo que esto pasase en el juego original.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Tampoco hacía falta tanto sarcasmo. No es 018, 118. 9998. Ocho uno nueve nueve 881. No. 8888.
8.
8. 5. Creo que en el juego original no podías volver a la habitación del jefe, o sea, al despacho. No, piano. No. No veo nada. Quizá hay alguna pista más adelante para poner aquí otro código, pero no sé. En fin, no era esto lo que quería hacer, sino esto...
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
¡Woo!
Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
¡Woo!
Oh my god. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me.
Yay.
Give me a timeout here for a minute while I process this.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No, wait. No, I need more time to process. All right, I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Sí, la verdad. Este antes estaba bien puesto. Ahora ya no está puesto bien. Cuando ha hecho el chan 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 ese, la verdad es que me da un poco de susto, pero...
Of course. Going back down in the elevator.
¡Claro que sí!
How did I not anticipate it?
No te lo veía
sure,
venir.
Now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted.
¡Claro que no!
I had no frame of reference to even anticipate.
¡No te olías la tostada!
That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is.
¡Claro que
A
sí!
breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
¡Claro que sí! No sabes tú lo que tengo yo aquí. Lo que tengo yo aquí. ¡Hasta luego! ¡Woo! Ya no comentas. Oh.
You know what?
No.
I've just thought of something.
¿Sí?
Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley.
Claro.
You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense,
Sí.
the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill.
Claro.
Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow?
Dale.
There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises? To have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal. This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years. And it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, though I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for
Madre mía.
so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh, good, we're here.
No puedo darle. ¡Jo! ¿Te imaginas? Vale, pues nada, pues volvemos. No me deja darle ya. ¡Jo! Te puedes caer por aquí. No, te puedes caer.
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
World's healthiest human being, all tricks reveal. How we did it, the pilot. The guy who went to Mars. Ok. Este no lo he visto yo. Pues nada, primicia. World Peace, baby. Ok.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Stanley Parable. The man, the process, the myth, the legend, the Bible. Stanley from the Stanley Parable. Jo, no puedo ir por ahí. Wolf is Sentient Machine. Uf, ya sabemos cómo funciona eso.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley.
The
Okay,
Lord.
it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
¿Qué pone? ¿Qué pone? Recollect, Chambo, your boss. I love to the way you ride elevators. Thanks for sharing. Shall we meet that good skateboard trick in the parking lot? You are too cool. Good luck on stage. Rock on. Mucha mierda, bastante, sí. Stanley me that. Oh, qué guay. Story. Tienes 2 de Breakaway Champ. No one tells stories the way you do. Juegan en Tiger. Congratulations, Stanley. Remember where you came from. Your co-workers. An unforgiving account of ups as well as downs. Elevator. Highs and lows. Isn't that what's life around? Stephen Stairs Walker. Star Magazine. Sí, mucha mierda. O sea, mucha mierda de tu jefe. Champ, es Champ. Vale, no sabía que ponía. Y luego pone Stanley aquí. Stanley, my true love for you grows every day. You make me feel alive. Your wife from the department. Ending. Oh. Storyteller. En fin, todas estas tonterías, lo siento, que me centre en ellas. Y sé que ya acaba la hora del streaming, así que vamos a ver si acabamos este final y lo dejamos ahí. Doing great. A conversation with Alexander the Great. ¡Woo! ¡Hey! Hola. Y morí. Cayó una bomba en ese mismo instante. No. Bueno, creo que por hoy ya está bien. Ya habéis visto de qué va Stanley Parable. Aunque bueno, la gente que se ha incorporado al streaming a medio, pues a lo mejor no ha visto el principio. A lo mejor no lo ha visto. Así que os animo a que lo veáis desde el principio para que veáis cómo va la vaina. La próxima partida, vale, antes de que te vayas retroductor. La próxima partida no sé cuándo será, porque esto era básicamente mis ganas de querer jugarlo. Bucles y joder el narrador, sí. En general va a ser de eso. Es muy interesante, tiene muchos finales. Ahora más. Antes, o sea, el juego tenía ya bastantes finales. El original no eran muchísimos, pero eran bastantes. Y ahora por lo visto tienen más. Por ejemplo, el ascensor no estaba. Y lo del botón de skip tampoco. Entonces, lo he dicho, quiero jugar a todos los finales. Si es posible, aunque a lo mejor necesitaré guía para algunos. Más del doble, bien. Pero no el siguiente día, o sea, el sábado, que es el siguiente día de streaming, no voy a jugar a esto. Y seguramente no juego en esto durante bastante tiempo. Porque quiero acabar. Tengo ahora mismo 3 juegos abiertos. Y con este 4. Tengo Mario Party 3, Elden Ring y Triangle Strategy. Y quiero acabar uno de ellos por lo menos. Cuando acabemos Mario Party 3, que es el que creo que terminaremos más pronto, veremos qué tal. Si lo retomamos este juego. Pero bueno, por lo menos quiero terminar uno de ellos. Porque normalmente yo suelo jugar a un juego hasta que me lo paso en stream. No suelo coger varios. Solo que ha coincidido que he tenido ganas de jugar a este. Ya ha salido este juego y lo he empezado. Y ya salió este otro juego y lo he empezado. Y cosas así. Entonces, lo he dicho. Quiero terminar juegos. No quiero ir cogiendo más juegos. Para tener varios frentes abiertos. Así que, lo he dicho. Stanley Parable se queda en este vacío. Se queda en este vacío hasta que acabemos uno de los juegos y seguramente hasta que acabemos 2 de los juegos, no lo sé, depende. Me gustaría retomarlo no muy lejos, la partida, y hacerlo, así que a lo mejor dentro de 2 o 3 semanas hacemos otro momento de Stanley Parable. Pero, lo dicho, no va a ser hasta dentro de bastante, ¿vale? Muchas gracias por haber venido. Ha venido un montón de gente hoy. Muchas gracias por haber venido. Nasvaca, Retroductor. Minna también se ha pasado. Delto y Prisosteris, que también, que se han suscrito y todo. No estoy muy acostumbrado a que haya tanta gente aquí, pero es agradable, ¿vale? Y a Kemi y a Kuda, como siempre, por estar siempre conmigo. Así que... nada, nos vemos el sábado. El sábado va a ser o Mario Party 3 o Triangle Strategy. Pues si queréis pasaros, alguno de los dos, no sé cuál, lo decidiremos en el momento. Así que nada, gracias por pasaros. Nos vemos hasta entonces si queréis y si no, pues cuando queráis volver. ¿Vale? Hasta entonces, cuidaos mucho y lo dicho, gracias por haber estado conmigo. Pasad buena noche. Terminando la transmisión en 3, 2, 1.